One of the questions that I get over and over again from a Jewish audience is the question of whether or not, well, the question is why Christians use the Old Testament. And, you know, the question doesn't make particularly much sense, but if you just try and get in the mindset a little, you think from a Jewish mindset, the Old Testament is their covenant, the New Testament is the Gentile covenant. So why do the Gentiles use the Jewish Old Covenant? Well, the logic's faulty. The New Testament was not a covenant that God gave to the Gentiles. The New Testament was a covenant that God made with the Jews, and that He expanded into the Gentiles. That since the Jews rejected Jesus en masse, there's always been a remnant. God always has a remnant of His chosen people who believe. Throughout the history of the Old Covenant, it's always been just a remnant of the people who believed. So it is in the New Covenant times that only a remnant of the chosen people have believed in the gospel. And there have been times when that remnant has been preciously few. But there's always been that remnant. The New Testament, the New Covenant, was given to us by God. And it's founded on the principles of the Old Covenant. You can't have the New Testament without the promises of the Old Covenant. The two testaments are inexorably linked. It's the word I was looking for in my other video. Check out my video, The Blood of Christ on the Jews. And is the blood of Christ on the Jews? If you look at the New Testament, you see that there's not a chapter that goes by which isn't dependent on the Old Covenant revelation. You can't understand the New Testament without having an understanding of the Old Covenant. You can't have an understanding of the royal law of the Messiah without understanding the law of Moses. So that's one point. Another thing to understand when you're looking at the Old Covenant is that when the Christians accepted Christ, they were not. The first church was all Jewish, and they accepted the continued revelation of God. The rabbis and the Pharisees rejected the continued revelation of God through the Messiah, through the Jewish Messiah who came to complete the new covenant from the Jewish God. So the real question is, why do the rabbis still accept the Old Covenant if they reject the continued revelation of God? There's always been people who take the first part and then refuse to run with the rest. You've got the Samaritan Pentateuch from the Sadducees, who can be seen in the modern day Sadducees from the Jews in primarily the West Bank of today's Israel, where they only believe in the first 5 books of Moses. It's called the Samaritan Pentateuch because that's all they had. That's all they acknowledge. For the rest of the Jews, the majority of the Jews accepted the rest of the Old Covenant revelation. The New Testament, in the same way, has the people who continue on with the revelation of God. If you reject the New Covenant, then I don't see why you keep the Old Covenant, because the Old Covenant is a continuation of the New Covenant. According to Daniel chapter 9, Messiah had to come when Christ came. So if you don't believe in Christ, then you don't believe in the Old Covenant, because you reject the prophecies that were fulfilled in Christ. And so you could ask equally, why do the Jews keep the Old Covenant? Because they reject the continuation of the work of God in the Messiah. But it's a stupid question to ask. You know, it's a stupid rhetorical point, and it's asked primarily out of ignorance, primarily out of just not knowing what the New Covenant is about. But when you read the New Covenant, you have to read the Old Covenant in order to have a context for the New Covenant. So Christians have ample reason to read the Old Covenant, and Christians should spend a lot of time reading the Old Covenant.